wrangling razor-toothed barracuda.
Oh, Kaku!
Battling armor-mouthed gar.
It's like being trapped in an Iron Maiden.
Tagging great whites with flesh-shredding jaws. And an Amazon expedition comes face-to-face with the ultimate fanged fighters.
Ow! Check that out! Magnificent fish. Monster teeth. Unbelievable.
They're big vampire fish with big teeth. For science, sport, and food. It's the most extreme encounters in our eternal quest for hooked monster fish. In the world of whoppers, some take a bite out of the competition. Many species can kill, but only a few have mouths full of deadly weapons. They decimate prey with cleavers, pincers, and daggers. What are these big-toothed predators, and how are they fighting to survive? When anglers and adventurers take them on, it's the ultimate battles of man versus fanged fish. January 14, 2009, Brazil. Ichthyologist and fish tooth and jaw specialist Dr. Justin Grubich is on an expedition, flying into the heart of the Amazon basin. For big fish teeth, this is ground zero, home to the petrifying piranha cousin, the pacu, a shocking species with human-like teeth, and the notorious payara, called the vampire fish. As an experienced fisheries biologist, Justin wants to gather tooth and bite impressions from live specimens in their native habitat, providing evidence about how these fanged hunters survive and adapt to a changing food chain.
The biggest threats to the Amazon nowadays are population increases, deforestation, habitat depletion, as well as hydroelectric that actually can change the way the river flows.
Targeting the first leg of his jungle hunt, Justin sets his sights on the mysterious pacu, close relative to the piranha, with a terrifying feature. Their teeth look human. To catch pacu and other big-toothed fish, Justin's guide is expert angler and local celebrity Johnny Hoffman. After a lifetime fishing Amazonian waters, Johnny knows exactly where to hunt. But overfished pacu are growing scarce.
Here in the Amazon regions, the biggest threat to the pacu is commercial fishing. The fish is very expensive because the meat is so tender. Compared to other fish, it is much more valuable.
Justin casts his line.
As soon as it hit the bottom, it was a...
Justin struggles to hang on.
Jesus, like a runaway freight train. Popping its head, tugging at me. And then it goes off on these screaming runs like just then. But goodness, yeah, it's a strong fish. It's tiring me out, that's for sure.
The bucking fish is fighting hard. Gathering his energy, Justin gives a final forceful pull.
Big pacu caranho. Hey!
Good fishing.
Up close and personal with one of the strangest biting fish on Earth. Sticking his hands directly into the mouths of these river biters is only the beginning. The expedition's ultimate challenge has just begun. In the quest to study fierce fish bite mechanics, Justin and Johnny must soon plunge deeper into the Amazon jungle. But as their hunt intensifies, can they find an even more ferocious fanged fighter, known as the vampire fish? Thousands of kilometers away, anglers take on another fearsome big-toothed fish. African legend tells of a man-sized monster killing everything in its path, the Goliath tigerfish. Few fishermen dare to try to catch them. Even fewer succeed. Goliath tigerfish are native to the Congo. In this behemoth battleground, you either get big or get eaten. Ravenous, flesh-eating carnivores, Goliaths can grow to over 40 kilos. Yet little is known about these elusive fish. Some biologists speculate they get even bigger, 2 meters long, weighing 70 kilos. All thanks to teeth built to kill.
The jaws and teeth of the Goliath tigerfish indicate that it's obviously a piscivore, a big piscivorous fish. Those razor-sharp teeth in that jaw obviously can take big chunks out of big elusive prey.
Part of the order known as Coraciformes, the Goliath shares this family tree with the notorious piranha.
That was an ancient group of fishes that still exist today and have evolved over millions of years.
And like piranha on a massive scale, the Goliath tiger's menacing maw is built like a bear trap. In the competitive food chain of the Congo River, it's a design that's helped them snag and hold on to big prey. Even the bravest anglers find Goliaths fearsome opponents. But for one determined fisherman, the hunt for this legendary predator is an obsession.
It's the legend, it's the myth of the Congo River.
September 5th, 2008, Central Africa. For Czech Republic fisherman Jakub Wagner, a mission into the Republic of Congo carries thrills and danger. He's determined to snag a massive Goliath tigerfish.
Now I made a list of 23 species of the biggest freshwater giants, and I'm trying to catch them all around the globe.
With bait and tackle on board, Jakub and his guides push off into the current. They choose a spot in fast-moving water, known Goliath stomping and chomping ground. Defeating a Goliath takes a special strategy. Where other fish's soft facial flesh allows hooks to penetrate at the point of contact, with Goliaths, hooks repel off their bony mouths like armor plating. And if an angler does manage to hook one, razor-sharp jaws can rip through even the toughest fishing line.
Goliath tigerfish can cut through your leader.
Jakub knows his only chance is to lure the Goliath to bite firmly into triple-hooked bait, taking it deep into its mouth. And if Jakub hooks one, his best bet is to bring a Goliath in fast. But on the river, as hours turn into days, each time he snags his target,
it's off.
The line goes limp. Reeling it in, Jakub finds his bait chopped in half, hooks untouched.
It's an extremely powerful killing machine.
As sun breaks through the gloom, he casts one more time. In a sudden jolt, the reel spins out of control.
Fish is on!
Bracing himself against the pull, the fight's even stronger than Jakub expected.
Go! Go, 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 go!
Scanning the murky waters, he can only imagine his opponent. Then, in a split second, he gets a glimpse.
Whoa!
It's huge. Pulling against the racing Goliath hard as he can, Jakub fights panic. With hand-tearing tugs on the line, he steers the fish from the thick weeds. Free. Now, with the Goliath in open water, the fisherman uses the last of his strength to reel it in, while the Goliath tries to use its massive jaws to sever the line. After a back-breaking half-hour struggle, Jakub gets the fish alongside the boat. But with a big-toothed whopper like a Goliath, the real challenge is getting it on board.
I didn't want to lose the fish. It was my first Goliath tigerfish.
As the powerful fish bucks and darts, Jakub carefully grabs hold of his tail, hoisting the writhing whopper out of the water. At last, he's landed his Goliath. Up close, it's a monster, estimating the Goliath at over 25 kilos. Its terrifying spiked teeth look like a shark's. Jakub marvels at this legendary river beast. But like a growing number of passionate fishermen, he's determined to help sustain the species for future generations. Releasing the Titan safely back into the Congo, it's the catch of Jakub's career.
When I had my first Goliath tigerfish in my hands, I was the happiest man in the whole world.
Yet in the fight for the long-term survival of Goliath tigers and other fanged freshwater monsters, one major danger persists: a food chain threatened by overfishing. Ongoing environmental efforts are trying to help scientists and governments find alternate food sources for local communities, giving these big-toothed fish a fighting chance. In the world of big-toothed monsters, one hunter is unrivaled: the great white shark. Alpha predators armed with 50 serrated blades, their jaws inspire more fear and respect than any creature on Earth.
It's really an impressive thing to see a set of jaws that big with that many weapons involved. It shows that it's just an ultimate predator.
But how did this ultimate predator first evolve? Recent research suggests a truly lethal lineage. Before the great white, nearly 20 million years ago, its ancient relative may have been this jaw-dropping, super-sized killer. The megalodon. 3 times bigger than a great white shark, the megalodon had teeth to match its size. Seen here next to a great white shark tooth, with a maximum size potential of less than 8 centimeters, a single megalodon tooth stretched a staggering 18 centimeters from base to tip. Its nearly 3-meter jaws delivered over 18,000 kilos of flesh-ripping force, decimating everything it hunted. As a specialist in fish teeth, Justin and other scientists hope to understand how such fierce fighters survive, evolve, or go extinct. One thing they do know: with these alpha predators, survival takes big meals, and it all starts with the bite. The bite of a great white shark is like an advancing army of destruction. And great whites are literally covered in teeth. Seen here, magnified 100 times, their scales, called dermal denticles, are built exactly like teeth. They're even coated with enamel, the toughest living substance, giving sharks a cutting suit of armor. For anglers, the great white's protected status and deadly reputation scares off even the bravest thrill seekers. But incredibly, a few are determined to tag them.
Oh, the teeth on the shark's got to be the scariest part. As soon as you see it, you just think death. They're not good-looking teeth at all. You don't want to be caught inside that.
September 25th, 2005, East Coast, Australia. Adventurers Glenn Connell, David Smith, and Chris Macklin are out at their favorite fishing spot planning to catch grouper. But a recent influx of sharks changes their agenda.
Basically, we kept getting bitten off by sharks, so we thought we'd go down shark fishing.
It could be hammerhead or great whites. Yet rather than kill these threatened species, the anglers decide to tag them. Part of Australia's official research angler program, amateurs can obtain government fisheries tags, helping scientists across the country study migration and growth. But the program wasn't designed with man-eating sharks in mind. Warning, don't try this at home. Amateur tagging of great whites is now illegal. And to up the ante, these guys want to tag sharks like no one else. From shore, with a car. Unfortunately, getting bait out far enough is a challenge.
You could not throw a bait that big out past the breakers, and everything we tried was just unsuccessful.
Putting their heads together, the men come up with a deceptively simple plan. Surf the bait out.
Grab your surfboard, bro. I gotta put Woody on.
Dave dons his wetsuit, grabs the bait, and heads out.
Should be fun.
First experience.
Every second, his life is in danger. Paddling out into known shark territory is beyond risky. From below, a surfer resembles a shark's favorite food, seals. Dave's best defensive strategy? Keeping his toes on the board.
Less things my body in the water, the less things I got to chew on.
Dropping the bait in deep water, Dave quickly turns to head back. Almost immediately, from shore, Chris feels something snatch the bait and take off.
It's a bit of size in this one, and Dave's still paddling out there.
Chris is alarmed. He fears the area is brimming with hungry sharks. Holding his breath, he scans the waters for signs of big fins or a deadly attack. Chris battles the hooked whopper while Dave paddles frantically back to shore. Incredibly, Dave makes it back intact.
Oh, Davey's back, he's safe.
But for Chris, the fight is on. Bearing down, he slowly inches his catch to shore. At any time, the shark could break free or pull Chris in after it.
If you get a shark with a bit of size in it, they decide to head to sea, well, there's just no way you're going to stop them.
It must be about 10 foot offshore.
Yet the men are prepared. They've rigged a custom-made fighting chair, built for a car. Glenn attaches the chair to the front of his Jeep as Chris climbs on for better leverage. Still, the massive beast isn't giving up. Chris's catch pulls so hard, he fears he's hooked more than he can handle. Wasting no time, Glenn jumps into the driver's seat to make chase.
Just keep him going steady, Dave.
Imagine battling a massive shark on rod and reel. Chris's upper body is nearly numb. With a painful final heave, he brings the shark closer to shore. The men are stunned.
What is it, a big hammerhead or no? No, she's wide, is it? Oh, look at the size of that.
To their astonishment, it's a giant great white shark, caught and still alive.
When we got it in, we realised it was a white pointer, and that sort of froze us on the beach for a minute. We didn't sort of know what to do.
Chris grabs his tagging equipment, but tagging a great white shark is terrifyingly unpredictable. While the others hold the shark still, Dave carefully knocks the hook out of its mouth with a small hammer, and Chris manages to land the tag by the dorsal fin. The clock is ticking. To save the great white, they've got to get it back into the water without getting themselves killed. Chris and Glenn carefully begin to turn the fish. Handling a great white shark takes caution, avoiding any move that might anger the fish. The men give a final push. As it hits the water, the great white swims away. Tag and release. Mission accomplished. Among ferocious big-toothed fish, some are prehistoric predators. In murky waters, it strikes like a deadly dinosaur. With savage strength and a mouthful of spears, the alligator gar.
Hundreds of canine teeth pierce through the flesh of that prey item. It's not going anywhere after that. That fish is done for sure.
alligator gar are truly ancient creatures. Fossil evidence shows the alligator gars changed little since the Cretaceous period, over 140 million years ago. The monster fish is a Darwinian superstar. Growing up to 3 meters long, the alligator gar got its name from a long, broad snout and jutting dagger-like teeth. Yet incredibly, a secret set of even longer teeth grow inside its mouth. Attached to the center of the palate, they run the length of the jawbone, the last thing unlucky prey see before death.
It's like being trapped in an Iron Maiden. That fish is not getting out of there.
And the alligator gar is one of nature's most patient snipers. For hours, it rests motionless in slow-moving riverbeds, saving its energy for the attack. And there's more. Covered in a coat of armor-like scales, a strong roll of its body can fend off an attacker or cut through fishing line like a saw blade, an angler's worst nightmare.
Everything's sharp on an alligator gar. It usually will break your line if it wraps up.
February 25th, 2006, Love County, Oklahoma. Winter on the Red River is harsh. Fishermen who brave these icy waters are in for a bitter battle.
Not a lot of people can catch a 100-pound fish around Oklahoma.
Sean Chatham spent his life fishing Oklahoma's rivers. Now he wants to help save big-toothed fish, especially the elusive alligator gar. He and his buddies hope to land and tag healthy gar for Oklahoma State species tracking and conservation research. But on this frigid afternoon, after hours casting into freezing waters, the teams only managed to tag a few small specimens.
Oh.
Determined to tag a monster, Sean throws his line into the shallow part of the river. Suddenly, the fisherman feels his line catch on something below. He pulls back sharply as the hook sets.
I got one, guys. Good one? Yeah, it feels like a real good one.
Sean can barely keep the rod from flying out of his hands. And the boat's on the move.
Hang on, he's pulling the boat.
We knew it was a really strong and big fish by just the way it took off. There was four of us guys, the boat, the motor, ice chest, all the tackle and stuff. So it was a good 1,000 pounds it was pulling across the water.
Sean's now certain he's fighting the gar of his life.
Alligator gar?
But each time he pulls the fish close to the boat, a sudden surge sends the gar raging down the river. Sean's locked in a painful tug of war, praying he can outlast the muscular monster and tag it safely before it breaks free.
Yep, that's gator too. One female.
After an exhausting 30-minute fight, the angler feels the gar begin to tire. Arms aching, he gives a forceful hoist, bringing the fish to the edge of the boat.
There he is, Scotty.
Looking down into the water, Sean was right. It's the biggest gar he's ever seen. But the real battle's just begun.
There you go, Scott.
The fish is so gargantuan, it's too big to lift. The weight could easily pull Sean and his buddies overboard into the snapping jaws of an angry alligator gar.
We knew it was a lot bigger when we seen it. We knew we couldn't quite get it into the boat.
Maneuvering the boat close to shore, Sean leaps onto the bank, pulling the fish up into the mud.
Pull it up, Sean, pull it. Sean, hold him.
The angler's face to face with some of the most frightening jaws he's ever wrestled. The slightest misstep could land Sean in the river, losing his catch or worse.
Careful.
Gar fishing injuries are notoriously bloody.
The mouth's sharp, the fins are sharp, even the scales on an alligator gar are sharp.
Sean's buddies jump in to help. Working together, they push the massive catch onto the bank.
Get it, got it. It's on the bank.
At last, After a fierce struggle of men versus mammoth gar, the gar gives in.
All right, good job. Good job, boys. All right, look at that one.
At over 2 meters long and nearly a full meter around, the fish dwarfs the men and takes all hands to handle. The massive fish tips the scales at over 84 kilos. A new Oklahoma state record. Unfortunately, the tired gar didn't survive the catch. But Sean's tag and release efforts continue, hoping to help the conservation of an ancient biting species, now fighting for its future. January 14th, 2009. Back in the Amazon's Big Tooth Ground Zero, ichthyologist and tooth specialist Justin Grubich and his guide Johnny Hoffman have just hooked a powerful pacu.
Wow. Hey!
Good fishing.
That is awesome.
A creepy-looking close relative of the piranha, the notorious pacu is a crushing machine. 2 solid rows of tightly packed teeth trap food in a vice grip. Thick jaw muscles generate kilos of force. Pacu are known as frugivores, fish that feed on fallen fruits and nuts. Yet make no mistake, pacu may not have a craving for carnage, but these teeth and jaws are built like pulverizing nutcrackers.
So these teeth create a lot of contact points, distributing force across these food items. And the jaw is perfectly designed to transmit a lot of bite force through those teeth. That creates huge pressures on each of those little mini chisels to allow them to break into those tough food items.
And zeroing in on its mouth, there's no mistaking why these teeth look so frighteningly familiar.
So Johnny, come help me hold this fish a second.
Here, a human skull model reveals the scary similarities.
So these jaws are actually built quite similar to ours. They have a fixed upper jaw like we do. Over the top here, it doesn't move at all, but they have this mobile lower jaw down here, and that's what generates all the bite force.
But Justin wants to know more.
I gotta make sure this fish doesn't bite my fingers off.
No 2 jaws are built exactly the same. To appreciate big-toothed fish, you have to measure how much power they're truly packing in their own unique bite.
So we're taking a dental imprint of the teeth here so we can get an estimate of the size of the teeth. That'll tell us basically how much force is being transmitted through those teeth, if we can get a good rudimentary shape of those teeth.
Capturing the exact shape, form, and wear and tear of teeth in a dental imprint reveals precisely how bite force impacts as it makes contact.
It can really transmit high bite forces into high bite pressures, and that's the point where the tooth actually pierces and impales into the prey item.
Finally, Justin and Johnny move quickly to tag the fish.
147.
A lot of these fishers are losing habitat really quickly because of deforestation. This tagging effort helps us provide critical data on habitat usage and movement patterns.
After recording the tag number, they put the pacu back in the water.
Very strong fishes.
But Justin has another fish to find. The ultimate big-toothed monster, the vampire fish. One look at the vampire reveals a chilling resemblance to one of the most fascinating fanged killers of all time. 400 million years ago, no swimming prey could survive this behemoth beast, the Dunkleosteus. Stretching over 6 meters long, one of the first creatures to carry a mouthful of jutting blades, its so-called teeth were actually an extension of its skull, sharpened to razor points. Today, though not a direct Dunkleosteus descendant, the legacy of these terrifying prehistoric teeth live on in astounding specimens like the vampire fish. But the vampire's an elusive target. With bad weather looming, the scientist fears his expedition may be running out of luck.
The sky's about to open up right now. Looks like we might get a little bit wet.
In a battle of man versus river killer, can they conquer the vampire in the midst of a raging rainforest storm? In a world of big-toothed whoppers, these are the speed demons. turbocharged ambush predators, they tear into prey in a blur of destruction. So fierce, their name's synonymous with ruthless hunter, the barracuda.
The actual strike of a barracuda can be completed in about 1/100th of a second. Super fast. The human eye only sees it about 30 hertz. So you can barely actually see it happen. That's how fast a barracuda is.
Natural-born killers from day one, barracuda babies are on their own. Nurturing is not a natural instinct for their predatory parents. Young barracuda form protective gangs. But once they're grown, it's every barracuda for himself. Able to reach over 1.5 meters long, 45 kilos, a barracuda's biting jaws sport an assassin's array of teeth, each with a different deadly design. Piercing front teeth grasp and hold. Small, tightly packed upper teeth slice like a serrated blade, and larger bottom spears finish the job. Add powerful jaws, and it makes for a crisscrossing chomp with tremendous force. And to catch prey, barracuda can swim like a torpedo, up to 58 kilometers an hour. For an angler, it all adds up to a fearsome, biting, fighting fish, almost too fast to catch.
The barracuda is a real predator, long, fast, and just an exciting fish.
March 22nd, 1992, Maui, Hawaii. Fishing fanatic Dean Hayashi arrives at his favorite nighttime camp spot. He hopes to reel in a popular local jackfish, the giant trevally. But he has no idea an ominous ocean attacker is waiting to take him for the ride of his life. Dean sets up his fishing poles and attaches an alarm bell to each rod.
Well, those bells have to be huge, loud, to get us up from a deep sleep.
Passing the time, Dean prepares dinner, but nothing's biting. He gives up for the night, settling down to sleep. At the break of dawn, the clang of the bell sets the angler's heart racing. Leaping from his truck, his fishing line screams out. He's hooked something big.
On the initial strike, the drag went out, and you could hear it, the ratchet go zzz, zzz. Oh, that was exciting. Every fisherman just loves that sound.
Dean carefully picks his moment and jerks back on the rod. As he feels the hook set, the fish bursts out of the water. Dean is stunned. It's no trevally. It's a behemoth barracuda.
It explodes out of the water, and I couldn't believe it. It was so big, and I've never seen anything that big.
The fighting fish takes off, charging back and forth, repeatedly leaping in the air. Time is not on the fisherman's side. He's terrified the fish's scissor-like jaws will slice the line in two, even with a steel leader.
I kept thinking, please don't cut, please. Or my friends will never believe me.
And Dean has an even bigger fear. So close to shore, the line might snag on rough terrain. To keep it free, he needs better leverage from higher ground. Fishing from a rocky outcrop's extremely dangerous.
The rocks and the waves, and once in a while guys fall off and get hurt badly.
Reeling hard as he can, his upper body burning, Dean gets the fish closer to shore. It's even bigger than he imagined. He's overwhelmed, and there's no one around to help. Dean's losing his strength. He knows his only chance is to hold on and hope to catch a break from the perfect wave, bringing the fish to him.
I just waited. I was tired. The wave hit it and brought it up.
Wasting no time, Dean hauls up the line in a blur. But with a barracuda, keeping your distance can mean the difference between keeping and losing a finger.
I have a 6-foot leader, so of course I grab the leader. I'm not getting anywhere close to the teeth.
At last, with a final hoist, victory. He's got it. The mammoth catch measures 1.8 meters, weighing 35 kilos, a new Hawaii state record. To honor the fish's strength and spirit, Dean commissioned a traditional Japanese fish painting called a gyotaku.
I have that print on my wall at home. Something I won't forget, ever.
Fortunately, barracuda aren't on the endangered species list. Yet, despite their reputation as furious fighters, barracuda aren't invincible. Their biggest challenge? Growing up.
The juvenile phase of barracudas grow in estuary environments.
Wetland regions and river deltas known as estuaries are barracuda growing grounds. Widespread efforts must be made to preserve our wetlands, allowing juvenile barracuda to grow into big, biting adults. In the fight to protect big-toothed whoppers, scientists head to the front lines where they live, breed, and kill. Plunging deeper into the Amazon rainforest, ichthyologist Justin Grubich and his guide Johnny Hoffman have already tagged and imprinted the bizarre-looking teeth of a human-like pacu. January 18th, 2009. As time for their mission's running out, Justin's determined to find a saber-toothed whopper named after a monster, the payara, the vampire fish.
It can open its mouth very wide, allowing it to eat prey almost half its own size. And that's why the payara's mouth is extremely dangerous.
Justin wants to gather vampire tooth impressions to help reveal how these hunters are adapting to a changing food chain and fighting to survive. The expedition comes to a secluded spot near the Mato Grosso border, Payara country. But dark clouds and thunder don't bode well. Payara like fast-moving water. Yet finding these tough fighters in water-churning bad weather is next to impossible. The payara earns its vampire nickname with a set of 2-inch daggers thrusting up from its bottom jaw.
And the advantage of those long fangs and sharp edges is as they sweep that through the swift currents, it increases the chances that they're actually going to impale a prey item on those fangs.
Buffered with enamel, the hardest biological substance on Earth, these biting blades stay hidden inside pockets running the length of the payara's skull. A payara never draws its stabbing swords until it's about to draw blood. And from tail to tip, streamlined, pointy-headed payara are designed for maximum predator potential.
Payara is a narrow-shaped jaw because they need a narrow-shaped body to be able to move quickly through that really swift water environment. Yeah! It's muy bonito, Johnny. Yes.
But now, as the team's caught in the middle of a raging storm with no payara, Johnny proposes a new plan, a secret fishing spot located 50 kilometers through dense jungle. The men head to base camp for a night's rest before facing their final and toughest test. January 19th, 2009. Fighting crushing heat and flesh-searing mosquitoes, the men hike through rugged terrain. At last, after a long journey upriver, the expedition reaches the edge of the Amazon jungle. Here, the river courses with killer rapids.
I'm no river guy, but it's got to be a class 3 or class 4 right there. And this is where the payara come up. They love this really swift, fast water.
Okay, no action. Walk in the forest. Very difficult.
Right now, they don't seem to be on, so we're going to actually move to a spot even farther upstream that's even more intense in terms of the amount of water that's flowing through here. Okay. Hey, watch. I'm out of breath, but I am driven by adrenaline. Johnny's taking me to this secret spot. We're going to fish for the vampire fish, the giant payara.
Justin notices a man-made marker.
Here we have a survey marker for a potential dam project. The payara that we're going to be fishing for up here have traveled thousands of kilometers up this tributary to spawn in the headwaters. You put a dam project in there, and it could really impact the population.
Dams are responsible for 90% of Brazil's power supply. Some see hydroelectric power as one of the future's most promising renewable energy sources. Others disagree. The effect of a dam on the environment can be devastating. The group presses on through forbidding landscape to their final destination. The Sete Cadiz Rapids.
This is the spot, Johnny?
These turbocharged speeding waters are the fish equivalent of the Autobahn, a perfect vampire fish hunting zone. The men pull out their gear and cast. Payaras are active hunters. Luring one takes more than flinging food into the river. Justin uses Johnny's tried and tested technique. Casting upstream, he allows his bait to flow with the water. Then he jerks it back to mimic the quick-darting small fish payara love to hunt. Justin feels a sudden strike. He acts fast to control the fishing rod, but as quickly as the fish attacks, the line goes slack. Reeling it in, Justin's bait is sliced in two.
Big fish.
Repeatedly, the bait falls victim to the slicing snipers underwater. Payara attack so swiftly, they can easily rip away a meal before an angler can set his hook.
That's a hard fish to hook.
But before returning to the United States, Justin's determined to land a vampire payara in the heart of the Amazon. He casts again further upstream. All at once, his line begins to vibrate. Justin moves quickly. This time, he's got it hooked.
Hey, all right, now we're talking.
Fighting against the currents, Justin keeps tension on the line. He knows at any moment, the darting fish could leap into the air, shaking the hook from its bony mouth. Muscling the fish closer to the rocks, Justin makes a scary discovery. The fish is now rushing towards him. If the line rubs against the rocks, it could snap.
Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Justin races to change position, almost tangling in Johnny's line.
Yes.
Then, with a final, forceful pull, he's got his vampire fish.
Really exciting. This one's still alive. Oh, I don't want to get my hands too close to his mouth. He could impale my hand, go right through my hand with those sabers. Unbelievable. Magnificent fish. Monster teeth. Unbelievable.
The sheer length of the vampire's teeth is terrifying.
So this is why it's actually called the vampire fish. It has these two razor-sharp fangs, and I can feel they actually have edges on them. These edges are really important for me able to pierce into the prey items as they go after them with that huge strike, that jaw just flying through the water. Amazing. I've never seen anything like it. I've got to be really quick now to get the dental imprint because these fish don't last long out of the water. I got to be very careful he doesn't shake his head. We just got an imprint of the shape of the teeth. I can put this into a computer program and estimate the area of those teeth That'll tell me how much bite pressure the jaw actually generates through the mechanism of the lower jaw. But really amazing fish.
Johnny moves fast to release the fish. After a moment of rest, the fighting vampire shoots back into the rushing rapids, ready to skewer its next meal.
Good fishing. Big ass fishing. Go fishing.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Good fishing.
Justin and Johnny are hopeful such studies will help increase awareness about these fish, their feeding habits, and the importance of protecting big-toothed species around the world, paving the way for protective policies, helping declining fish populations rebound.
It was a real trial to get here, but it was so worth it. Finally caught big fish with the big teeth in just one of the most magical, pristine spots I've ever been in. Really mission accomplished. It's just awesome.
Big fish with big vampire teeth. Whether for adventure, study, or food, each incredible encounter brings us face to face with some of nature's most ferocious and fascinating creatures. And as we fight for their survival, we marvel at their power to devour with mouths built to kill. Hooked. Monster fish, big teeth.